John Vodenlich, come on.
So there's a couple reasons you guys are all here. All right. First of all, I hope you're here because you want to learn something new. I can't promise you right now you're going to learn something new, but I know I've already learned something new. So hopefully you're going to learn something new. Secondly, I think you're here, or at least I hope you're here, to reinforce something you already know. I tell you, it means a lot to me when I hear great coaches like Coach Wolforth talk about something and I know, hey man, we're on the right track. So the second thing we're here to is to reinforce knowledge that we already know and use, okay? The third thing we're here for is to broaden our network. I can't promise you I'm the source of all good hitting knowledge, but I can tell you I am a resource, as is everyone else here. And hopefully fourth, we're here because we're going to have a good time. And I want to disagree with one thing with Coach Wolforth. I think there's a lot of things that were good and are always good. And I plan on drinking a lot of it later tonight. Because as far as I'm concerned, beer's always been good. It was good when I was 20 and good when I was 22. It's still good now that I'm 50. So let's have a good time this weekend. I mean, that's what it's about. And I'll tell you, and I think all the coaches will agree, some of the best coaching or ideas about what we want to do happen when we're sitting around informally talking one-to-one. And I know on our way over here today, Coach Frady and I were able to talk just about coaching, the coaching profession. Unfortunately, it caused us to get lost, and we're late to show up today. But hey, let's talk about some things. Last thing, Coach, you picked on Terry about how old he is, and you're obviously old, and Coach Wolforth, I get old, and Coach Strum, I don't know you very well. I met you just a couple days ago, but I do know he's old. Matter of fact, you guys have all heard about the Dead Sea. You know what the Dead Sea is. Well, when Coach Strom first started playing baseball, it was just sick. So think about that a little bit. All right, let's continue.
Don't walk in front of me.
All right. So let's talk about hitting. First thing I want you to know, there's not an original thought I'm going to present today. Everything that I'm presenting to you at some point, I stole from someone else. But what I did not do is I did not take that philosophy or concept and leave it alone. And I think what we hopefully will gain from this weekend is we'll learn a lot of things, a lot of different concepts and new ideas, but then we have to make it our own. So I remember the first thing one of the first people I listened to was Rod Carew. Great hitter, a lot of good thoughts. I took a lot of pieces from him. Then there was a guy by the name of Tony Gwynn. He was a great hitter for me. I mean, I loved watching Tony Gwynn. I saw him at the first EBCA convention. Tom, you probably remember that.
Yes.
He was speaking on hitting. I'm going to give you his speech now. I see it, I hit it, and I run. The only thing I really pulled out of it, he believed the hands fired first. That's what he believed, that the hands fired first. I saw him 10, 15 years later, and he was quite a bit different as far as how he presented hitting. Okay, but I learned a lot from him. Unfortunately, as you guys know, he's not with us. Then there's Pete Rose. Let me summarize that book. If you don't think you're the best, you won't be the best. I mean, the most confident man I've ever come in contact with. Charlie Lau, Art of Hitting. Let me, once again, summarize it. 6-inch stride or less, downhill ball to contact, backspin on the ball. That's it. Mike Schmidt. A couple things I learned from Mike Schmidt. Number one, if you're not very good at hitting the curveball, swing at the fastball. You'll get a hittable fastball in every count. I still believe it's true to this day. You will get a hittable fastball in every count. Don't swing at the curveball unless you have to. Okay? He also talked about that launch position, which is just as that foot touches down, the positioning of our hands. That is when we have to decide what's going to happen next. and our mentality has to be think swing, okay? Then we got Ted Williams. Ted Williams. Tom brought Ted Williams to Wisconsin.
1987.
Okay. I was a first-year college player. I went to the clinic. Loved to see him. He was quite a confident individual as well. But he was talking about something no one believed. Matching the plane of the pitch. Swinging up through contact. All right? I think we've come around to that line of thinking now. I think it's maybe misunderstood a little bit, because I don't think anything in hitting happens back here. I think we match the plane out in front. But for the most part, he told us a lot. Focus on your strengths, up through the ball, be confident, understand your hittable zones, places you're hot, places you can't hit. That's what I learned from Ted Williams. And once again, by no means did I know Ted Williams. I read his book, okay? And I was able to see him speak when he came to Wisconsin. Walt Horiniak. I don't know, I remember the best debate between Walt Horiniak. He was with the White Sox just outside of Milwaukee. And he was with the White Sox, and Ted Williams was speaking somewhere else. And I remember Ted Williams saying, hey, you have a choice. You can listen to a career 400 hitter or a career 192 hitter. You choose. Okay. Not a lot from him, a lot like Charlie Lau. But then my favorite book, probably no one in this room has read, is Sanaharo, The Zen Way of Hitting. Pretty cool thing, man. You read that one? Attaboy, Tony. One of the coolest things that I saw was that he trained with a samurai sword. And I think what's really easy to understand and comprehend, that all striking instruments have a leading edge. The golf club has a leading edge. That's where we want to strike the ball. A wood bat, you cannot hit it anywhere. There's a thin leading edge that we want to strike the ball with. So I mean, when you look at all these guys, I don't want to be just like Rod Carew, but what I want you to do is I want you to understand all the concepts we talk about today, and I want you to formulate your own plan. And I'm hoping I can give you one or two things to do that. Okay? Let's talk about hitting. Our goal is not to get a hit. That's not our goal. Our goal is to do do all three things. Number one, maximize bat speed. Does that mean I want him to swing the hitter as hard as they can every time? No, but I understand that when I hit the ball, I want to do damage. So if I make a change, a mechanical change, I hope it increases bat speed, not decreases bat speed. Number two, if I talk about making a change with a hitter, I hope that it increases his frequency of making optimal contact. What is optimal contact? Sweet spot of the bat, just below center of the ball, creating backspin. That's it. And I don't care who you are, you can't disagree with that. If the ball has topspin, it's not going anywhere. I guarantee you. If it's a knuckleball, it's not going anywhere. I guarantee you that. So I don't think we can even debate that fact. What we're hoping is swing the bat so you can do some damage. Number two, let's teach them how to make optimal contact. Finally, the last thing, we want to be on time. And I know that's overused, but we talk about 3 stable contact points. All my hitters should understand how to hit to 3 fields. Right field, center field, left field. Now that does not mean I take a guy who pulls, and make him hit the other way. My point was they understand how to work the ball in all of those areas. I've always believed just because you never hit the other way doesn't mean the great hitters can't hit the other way. If you ask them, hey, I'm going to throw you some balls, hit it over there, I think most great hitters can do that. If I tell them to hit a ground ball, I think most great hitters can do it. They can execute what we want. So their understanding of where we make contact with the ball, all right, and how to hit to all fields, I think is important. So, as we look at what are we trying to teach, in every drill we do, we're trying to teach our hitters to get better in these categories. Number one, mental focus. Terry and I flew over here together, and he thinks he coined a new phrase, which is mental endurance. I think he stole it from someone a couple weeks ago, I'm sure of it, but I understand what he means. He means that we're not only focused we're disciplined, we're consistent in our focus, and we're able to do it over a three-hour period of time. So mental focus. Game simulation. If you're not trying to simulate something that happens in the game, the drill is horseshit. We don't hit just to hit. We're hitting because we're trying to create a scenario that's going to help us in the game. Something I think I probably pulled from watching clips of Japanese hitters. You know, I remember watching Ichiro, and once again, I don't know Ichiro. I watch him. And I've seen him hit balls on the nuts the other way, falling out of the box. Only thing I can say is he has great hand-eye coordination. I would never teach anyone to do that, but I know he has great hand-eye coordination. So some of our drills are just about, can I put the barrel to the ball? Can I put the barrel of the ball? By the way, had an interesting conversation just earlier today. I do believe putting the ball in play at our level is important. And I think it is in your level as well. Strikeouts are not a good thing. I don't care what MLB says. All right? And I think, was it Washington? Did Washington have the lowest strikeouts, or was that you guys going into that game? The lowest strikeouts, I think, in the season.
That was both teams.
Yeah.
Washington was much more difficult to pitch to than the Yankees.
And I don't want you to think that their mentality is just I'm going to put it in play. I think that's probably a net result of having great hitters, right? Great hitters don't strike out. All right? There's a lot of great hitters who have struck out, but that doesn't mean they do it on a routine basis. So, hand-eye coordination is important to me. Plate discipline. Not only understanding the strike, but understanding your hot zones, what you want to hit, and when you want to hit it. All right? I think that's mental coaching. We want to talk about movement and mechanics. Remember, I talked about a lot of other things. 4 other things before I talked about movement patterns. All right? And then finally, as we give this knowledge to our hitters, I hope they will start to take some ownership of who they are as hitters. All right? We've been very fortunate at a small D3 school. We've had 40 players sign professional contracts. Right now, we only have 1 multimillionaire, but we have 1 in AAA, 1 in AA, 1 in single A. And for a little small Wisconsin school, we're very proud of that because not one of those 40 players came to us as a pro prospect. No one knew who they were. They walked through the door, something happened, and finally they got a chance. All right? But I didn't make one of them. I'm not up here telling you I'm great. What I do know each of them had is they had an ownership and understanding of what they were trying to do. So we want to lead to that. So let's move a little bit quicker. First thing, how do we learn? Ron, I think you did write an article recently about learning theory and how we learn. I have a little bit different way of classifying it. So you guys know what a COP is. Easy to remember, COP, C-O-P. That's how we learn. We learn by conversation, observation, or participation. That's it. Some are better with conversing and learning. Some are better with participating in learning. But for sure, all 3 things have to be happening. There has to be a conversation. We have to understand and see what's happening, and then we have to participate in the drill. We'll talk about the constraints-led approach. You've already heard it today when Coach Strom's talking about some of the drills. What did he just do? He changed the task by saying the pitcher, if I'm working on a curveball and I want to work on break, I'm going to put the catch over here. Right? He didn't talk about mechanics. He just said, move over there and let's work this thing out. I think that's the best way of coaching. What are some other examples? For me, maybe the best teaching tool I've ever seen is the soft hands pattern. Pretty cool. For our level, pretty important. Because I still believe something that was taught to me in Little League is you're always better when you're in front of the ball. Right? If you move your feet in position, if the feet are in position, we got a chance at fielding the ball. The hands are better then, the footwork's better, the throw's going to be better. So that soft hands would be an example of what we're talking about, constraints-led approach. All right? The ultimate goal. And I think Ron, you said it again. As a young coach, you talk more. I think we got to talk less. And I think for every player that we've improved, there's 2 players we've hurt. I really believe that. By telling them to do something that they probably don't need to do. So once again, I'll just reiterate, before you make a change, think about it, make sure it's necessary, and see if there's another way you can get through to that student athlete to make sure you get them better. All right. So this is not a conversation about mechanics or movement, but I want to talk to you a little bit about how I classify hitting. I'm a simple person. I joked today with my friend from Belgium. The only thing, I'm really an average person, except for my looks. Much above average, okay? But other than that, I'm very average, okay? So I need something that tells me where am I going to work? What's my platform? So the B stands for base. I don't think this is hard to teach. A good hitter goes from a balanced and stable base to a wider balanced and stable base. His base is not unlike what the positioning is of a fielder prior to contact. It's not unlike a defender on the basketball court. Sometimes as coaches, we talk about that athletic position, but I don't think we teach it very well. In our youth camps, the best way I have found to create a positive or a workable base with a young kid is just to get him to hop and then stick. So if you say hop and stick, the minute he sticks, he's usually in okay position, and at least we can start a conversation about where we go from there. The low. I think it's tough to understand, and it happens in all sports. All right, if you're in tennis, this right here is a low. If you're a shot putter, this is a low. It's not common only to baseball. All right? What I have found is the load is not anything to do with my hands. I think when we've talked about hands, that's caused a lot of issues with our hitters. So this is what we try to teach. We have a small topside turn as we widen to a stable base. Let me repeat that. We have a small topside turn as we... That's not stable. All right? But a small topside turn as we widen to a stable base. That's it. That's what the load is. It's this. Yes, you do gain ground. We can debate that if we want. You don't stay back. You stay centered. Action. I believe the back foot, the back knee, and the back hit starts the action. I was fortunate for two reasons. I was able to watch Yelich quite a few times this year. And I do believe, Yelich is Japanese Serbian. And you guys all know Serbians are the best hitters in the world. I called my guys from Serbia right away. I said, hey man, Yelich he obviously maybe got the discipline from the Japanese side, but he got his ability to hit from the Serbian side. All right? But yeah, I'm able to watch him, and he does something really cool, and I need a volunteer. Who wants to come up and volunteer? Easy. It's an easy thing. Come on. All right. Are you a righty hitter or a lefty hitter?
Right.
Righty hitter. Okay, so just turn to the stands, okay? And I'm just going to give you some... First thing we're going to do, we're not hitting, we're running. Okay? You have to stay behind this line, all right? And I want you to prepare to run. You ready? We're going to do a sprint. On your marks. What's the first thing he just did? He lowered his center. So if you watch Yelich, he's kind of upright, but he's gonna fall into that back leg. Which if he was running and I was going to give him some advice, what I would say, first of all, we're not going to stand this way. We're not going to stand upright. The first thing we're going to do, if we're going to run a race, you're going to probably do this, aren't you? You're going to probably lower up, and you're going to put this back leg, show me an acceleration position, ready to push up. This right here has to happen. So when I talk about action, I'm looking for my backside to start and stay in an acceleration position. How do I define that? The position you have to get in if you're going to fire that hip to run. Now we also know this foot goes back and all that, but that was easy, wasn't it? All right, round of applause. I'm going to show you some pictures here in a little bit, but swing plane, I love analogies. For youth players, all the way up to college players, don't talk to them. Give them a picture in their mind through words. The swing plane should be like landing a plane on the runway. There's a steep descent. We start to flatten off as the plane gets to the runway. We get on the runway, we touch down on the runway, we track down the runway a long time before we finally dock at the gate. Right? What's the runway? Playing the ball. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to take our barrel and we're trying to match that runway and the ball's coming down the runway. So what are we trying to do with hitting? Head-on collision. That's all. Very simple. Anyone who tells me that the barrel's released back here is a liar. Go on the internet. There's plenty of guys that have these click bats and they say, oh, I invented a click bat, which is bullshit because they invented it about 30 years ago. But yeah, I invented this click bat and now I'm going to teach everyone how to get on plane really quick. No good hitter gets on plane back there. I guarantee you. Watch the game a little bit. And even if they do at the major league level, that doesn't mean you should. Those are exceptionally talented individuals, and we shouldn't always try the things they do. There's a lot of things we should, but there's some things that maybe we can't do as players. And then we're always spending time on timing. All right, a couple more concepts. I know we're learning a lot today. Process versus outcome. You understand the difference? If I say the goal is to get a hit, that's the outcome. If I say in the drill, the goal is to hit a line drive with backspin, that's an outcome. If I say stay centered and stay balanced, that's the process. There's a difference. There's a difference when we drill and there's a difference when we play. Feel. I think feel's important. Closing your eyes, changing the surface of what they're standing on, all of that's important. Think about the squirrel here, training versus trusting. The squirrel doesn't go up to the branch and then stop and say, I don't know, man. What should I do to jump? Should I take my foot? They just jump. That's the trusting mindset. What's the training mindset? You're a little more analytical. You're trying to do the movements right. You're trying to have the right mindset. When we train, there's a training mindset. When we play, there's a playing mindset. Think about being the squirrel in the game time, and when we're practicing, you're trying to get better. Simple to complex. Simplest swing in the game. If I'm trying to teach someone just to learn how to swing properly, what's the simplest way to do that? T has to have a ball. How about the body without the bat? How about a med ball? How about a med ball throw? That's the simplest. You don't know if you hit the ball or not. I have a lot of great hitters at that stage in development. When we're doing that, they're great. Okay, but that's the first thing. And I want you to think about this. When your players are struggling, simply ask them to say, hey, show me your setup, show me your swing. All right? If they can't show you an efficient swing when the ball's not being thrown at them, why do you think they can do it in a game? If you ask them, for example, show me contact. If they can't show you what your body should look like at contact, why do they think they'll magically get in that good position when it's time to hit it? Right? So for me, the most simplest piece of learning a skill is simplifying the task. Homework, quiz, exam. I love this analogy. I learned it from a guy named Charlie Green Sr. who took me under his wing years ago on our first trip to Europe. And he took me under his wing because he had a bag of books he wanted to sell. And he needed me to carry them. It was the lefty move. Did you ever see that? Yeah, the book, there you go. So it's the lefty move. So he gave me a book, so I carried the other 100 books. But this way he said, homework. Homework is what we do every day. If you just show up for the calculus exam or the physics exam and you've not done any homework, you're not going to do very well. You're going to feel anxiety, you're going to feel fear, you're going to have a lack of confidence, and you're not going to do very well. So we got to do the homework. All right, some type of bullpen, short box, flat surface, any of that stuff is probably a quiz. You can kind of see. It's not real because you try to make it real, but sometimes it's not real because there's not a guy in box or whatever. But then eventually by game time, it's the exam time. Are you trying to learn something on game day? How? If you're trying, and as coaches, we have to work really hard that we're not trying to teach on game day. I did it with my son growing up. I coached Little League, youth ball, T-ball, all those things. And you know, it's the guy in the box, and you're like, hey, You know, watching that, or how about this one? This is my favorite. Be aggressive. And then the kid swings at this one and he says, "Ah, God, what are you doing?" Bertrand, come on. So be careful about coaching on game day. If you feel like you've got to implement a lot of things on game day, then I think you got to look at your practice schedule. And then finally, understand the difference between max reps and 1 rep max. The game of baseball is played on a 1 rep max over and over and over again. So I'll use pitching as an example. Every pitch is at 100% focus and intensity. It's 1 pitch at a time. That's a 1 rep max. The equivalent would be like doing a chest press with all that weight on 1 time. That has to be perfect. When I'm talking about max reps, I'm talking about, I think, creating feel. I absolutely think that golf and baseball have more in common than most other sports. So that would be like going to the practice range. You might hit 8 to 10 reps, okay? But as we work towards game time, we better get pretty good at doing 1 rep at a time. So understand as you do that. So how would you use that in developing a hitter? Well, maybe early in the season, before we're close to game time, maybe we're doing 8 to 10 reps of a drill. But we're going to try to also bring that down to less reps per set. And then finally, game speed is always important. You're always going to be challenged to do that. All right? Understanding that preparation matters. These are things as a hitter. If I'm going to hit a tee, then I better be looking out there before I look at the tee. I better take a deep breath. I better go through a routine before I step into the box, because that's how I prepare on game day. So with all that said, let's move to a couple drills. And I'm seeing if this will... It'll work. Come on. There we go. So I'm going to just run through these drills and we'll talk about them. And I call these the core 4 because I think there are 4 drills that we all do. It's nothing amazing, but I believe that the lead arm is called the lead arm for a reason, because it leads the swing. Do I think we have to use the top hand? Of course. That's why we put 2 on the back. Pretty important. But I believe that if you want to create contact, it's the lead arm. I believe that. All right? And so now, what is he doing here? Now he's hitting from no stride. You'll notice his feet are in a good position, and he's simply turning and then hitting. Pretty simple. All right? Pretty simple. And I didn't put the best hitters on, but this guy could hit. And he was a little awkward in a lot of the things he did. And luckily I didn't mess around. Now this is a guy, he's just trying to, tighten up the loop of his bat. So he's bouncing the bat forward, and he's trying to go straight to contact, because he's the guy who would absolutely put the barrel back by the catcher, pop the hips, and try to sweep through the zone. That's what he did. So he's trying to create tightness in his swing, and he thinks it helps by doing it. So this is just, I call this a Sadahara O. If you knew who he was, he would start with his leg up, and he's simply putting the knees together, knees apart. That's it. Knees together, knees apart. As you're putting the front foot down, the top side turns slightly to hit. Does that make sense to you guys? As that front knee goes down, as this goes down, this happens a little bit. All right? That's it. That's all we're trying to create. Another great way to do that is, you'll see in a second, hit some fungos. So walk up. Just walk up, hit the ball, balance. I like this drill because I think it naturally puts the backside in an acceleration position, because you have to walk up to hit, right? The back side has to be in position. Okay. Now this is a switch hitter. He's actually better from the left side. Now this is a walk through. So all I want him, this is a guy who'd always get beat like this. He'd always get beat. He'd never fire the backside through the ball. He'd always be back in here. So we're just trying to create some drive through the ball, trying to get him on time. Fungo. I throw him a ball, he hits a backside fungo. I think any good coach hits him this way, so you guys should start practicing. No good coach starts like this and throws the ball up and hits it. All the good coaches flip with the backside. It looks more impressive, it's cleaner. I think Frank Howard would be our standard for that. As a young boy, I could see him hit a couple pop-ups and it was pretty impressive. So it's a fungo, it's longer, smaller sweet spot. Now this is what I call the rewind drill, and what he's simply doing is just grooving the path. So he goes back through the ball, then he traces his back, reloads, and hits again. And we're just trying to create some feel and body awareness. 1, bring that bat through the zone. 2, bring that bat back through the zone. 3. I don't know, that maybe be like that back chain thing you guys were talking about a little bit. All right? Any questions on any of those drills? Pretty simple. Target tees. I've created a scenario where if you're on this side of the field, you're hitting it to left. If you're here, you're hitting gap to gap, and if you're on the right side of the field, you're hitting the right. We talk about ball placement, we talk about body position, we talk about contact point, and then we try to create a backspin line drive. We don't talk about launch angle. We talk about line drives. That will never get old. A line drive will never get old. Okay? While this is going on, we also have our fielders out there. They can take turns, they can shag some balls. And I hate the word shagging, but they're preparing balls off the bat. They're actually fielding balls off the bat. I was fortunate to manage a couple years in a collegiate league, and Robin Yount was the owner, and he's a Hall of Famer from Milwaukee. And he said, you know, Coach, I asked him about how to get our outfielders better, what kind of drills to do. He goes, first of all, you can't hit them any fungos because that's not going to help. All right? The best time for any fielder is live BP time off the bat. How could you create that if you don't have BP time? Then you could hit a fungo with a flip. Someone could be flipping, and at least you could get closer that way. If someone flips it to you and you hit it, you could get closer that way. Okay? Now, we're going to go through a different video now. What I want you to see here is a couple things. Number 1, we're starting with the ball and we're hitting up the middle.
10 minutes now.
All right? We're hitting up the middle. Line drives up the middle. Okay? Number 2, I have an L screen here, and there's a rope, and you'll see it on this picture in a second. There's a small string line that goes through the tee with the ball, and then I have a rear tee that is slightly higher than the tee I'm hitting, the ball I'm hitting. Okay? And what are we looking for? We're looking to pepper the gaps, line drives with backspin. Okay. See, he's looking forward, then he's hitting up the box. Pretty simple drill. Looking forward, then down to the tee, gap to gap. Trying to spin the ball. Okay? Remember, this one's higher, so he's not going to get too long on the backside. He's got to track forward. He's doing a nice job here. Okay. Okay, now I want to see the string line over here. Okay, see that? It looks like it's upright, but it's not. It's a line drive. And it's just below the ball. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to get to the ball, and they're going to try to keep the bat going on that string line to create extension through the ball and to match the plane. Notice how I'm putting the ball on. That's important. The reason I'm putting that on, this is a righty. See that? I want him to hit it in here. I don't want him to hit on the south side. I want him to stay in the white of the ball. Why? Because if the bat gets around the ball, it's going to result in a topspin ground ball to short or a ground ball to third. Okay? Questions on that? Same drill. And I'm going to speed it up. Notice, I'm positioning this. We're having conversations about where that contact should be made. Okay? As he gets better at it, we'll pull the ball back here. The later he can recognize the ball, the better hitter he is. Okay? All right, now let's turn over here. We'll do them simultaneously because we're tight on time. Now you see the string line a little bit better. And now he's going to be hitting the left field. We're trying to get balls over here. Gap to left field. See how I'm positioning that line, the ball. And now he's hitting with a fungal. What have I haven't told him anything. I said pick up your fungal. He's hitting with a normal bat, he's hitting with a fungal. Why a fungal? Fungal is, I have an assistant who has a 33-inch fungal, and I told him he's cheating. Little tiny Mexican guy, always likes a little short fungal. I said, that's not a fungal. That's a small little bat. Minimum it should be 36 inches. Why? Because it's hard to get the barrel to contact. Questions on that? Right field, last one. Once again, you can see how this is still high. He has to stay inside that and in front of that. If you make contact here, if you make contact deep in the zone, where's the ball going? Down and to the right. Watch a T-ball game sometime. That's where they hit all the time because they line up on the tee wrong. Another angle. And I'm just moving a little bit through it. Once again, this guy might hit 10 balls to the right side. But you know what? He's able to. He can hit it over there. He understands how his body works. I think in the World Series, someone popped one there right off the line, right there, Coach Strom.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's good. I don't know as a hitter. Does he do that a lot? Probably not.
Kemper, you're talking about?
Yeah. Does he? Is that his swing?
He was prior to that game. He was 8 for 144 on that pitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's speed this up. Side view. I want you to just see there are three different hitters. I'm not trying to make them all the same, but there are some common elements, right? I bet you this one is, this guy right here is our left fielder. He's just 19 years old. He's probably the most textbook looking guy, right? This guy I want to change bad. His elbow, I don't like where it is and everything. I wanted to change him. I don't like him. And God, he kind of doesn't do it like I want to. But man, he's good. He's pretty good. And there's some things he needs to work on, but we can work that out. And then this guy's just a big hoss. So let's move on. Last, I got two more, Coach.
Okay.
Here it is.
You got that. How about this one here?
All right, this is 40-degree BP. Once again, here's the goal. You hit the ball on the line with backspin back at the coach to the opposite where he's throwing from. So if he's throwing from this side, his job is to hit him right back at that, in this gap, right in here. What's it teach you? Number one, tracking, because you do have to wait a little bit more there. I won't say you got to let the ball get into the plate. That's a debatable thing, but I think it travels a little bit more than a ball on the inside half. Okay? Once again, that's beautiful right there. He's just trying to pound that ball back there. As we're seeing him finish, the other thing I tell you that I really believe in as far as hitters, once you get your hitters with a solid foundation, I think variation can be very, very beneficial. Always changing things up. I used to never like pitching machines, but I think it makes sense that if they can make an adjustment, that's a good thing. Now you guys know what pepper is, right? I think, for me, my high school coach believed in pepper. We played it every day. Gordy Gillespie, the greatest coach I ever met, loved pepper. Anyone over the age of 50 loves pepper. Coach Wolforth, right?
Absolutely.
All right?
Definitely.
What is pepper? Pepper is a hand-eye coordination exercise. It's a bat control exercise. The goal is not to hit a home run every pitch. The goal is to be able to hit the ball where you want to hit the ball. Okay? Now, we manipulate their body position, and then they have to still hit a line drive with backspin. Now, in this case, we're using wiffle balls. Okay. There it is, okay. So you see his position? I call this a face-off position because I was a hockey player. So it's like he's taking the, and what he's simply doing is he's turning and hitting the ball. The tendency is to be pulling off every pitch, hitting it off the end cap, or pulling everything until we start throwing it away. Pretty simple. So, and he's just hitting back into one of our nets. Now he's hitting from a no stride, so now we're changing him. Wide base, he can't move his feet drastically, he's just trying to hit. This is, now we've coined this. You've heard of the slash? We don't call it the slash. Trademarked, Whitewater baseball. It's called the smash. Because it's not a little slap thing. We're pounding it. I've seen home runs hit off a slash, smash situation. Okay, and it's about him bringing the barrel back, all right, bat path efficiency and bottom half movement.
Is that you throwing?
That's not. That's Armando, little Armando, with the little fungal.
You're raised. That's good.
No, that's a couple of years ago. I was going to buy that fungal man. Cost 3 times to him. So I said, "You're lucky. It's so expensive. Otherwise, I was replacing him." Yeah, he's been with the program 20 years. Big part of our success. He's doing a different one, walk through or walk up. All right. Last thing I'm going to just talk about. A couple things. From those drills, you could just hit in any way you want. There's a lot of guys that struggle. They have maybe too much plate discipline, lack aggressiveness. Then the drill might be you hit everything I throw at you. That's it. Right? Because we're just trying to teach hand-eye coordination. We're not trying to get everyone to be bad ball hitters. But you know what? I think that sometimes guys won't swing unless the ball's right here. And as a hitter, we got to be able to cover the whole zone. Okay. Last thing I'm going to talk about is just the hitting challenge. How do we put pressure on our team? Well, during BP, it's not just go up there and have fun. All right. So here's how the hitting challenge works. Round 1, it'll be 5 to 8 execution-oriented things. So, for example. Bunt to the right side, bunt to the left side, hit and run, ground ball right side, L screen, fly ball squeeze. You could decide whatever you want to do as a team, but you have to execute on that pitch what I tell you to do. And I list it. If you don't execute, you have to run through first base. While you're running through first base, your team, the other 3 guys in that group, step in and they go. So let's say it was sack right, sack left, hit, run. That was our order. Sack right, he gets it down. Sack left, Rawls foul. He has to run. Next guy's in. Sack right, sack. When he comes back in, he starts where he left off. So now he's bunting left side. You guys can see that if he can't execute some simple things, he's going to be running a lot. Okay? The first team to finish that execution round gets the most time for BP. And in BP, it's a point accumulation, right? Home runs are 3, line drives, gap balls are 2, hard ground balls are 1, anything else is a 0. Okay? They love it. They think it's great. And it's really cool to watch when one guy's left on the team and he can't get a bunt down. So he runs through first, runs back. Runs through first, runs back. And everyone else is waiting. And I guarantee you between the last time we do it and the next time we do it, he's worked on it a little bit. All right. Let me end by saying this. I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed here because I get to learn. And I'm going to always give credit to the people that taught me certain things. And Charlie Green used to tell me, I said, Charlie, I heard you're an old school. You're old school. And he is old. I mean, let me tell you, he's old. All right? We talk once a month, but he says, John, I don't know if I'm old school or new school, but I know I better stay in school. What he meant is, we got to learn. Pick something up tonight. Not just the beer. Pick something up, take it home with it, you make it your own, and make those guys better. Because I know you can do it. Thank you.